Hello everyone, I'm the Escapist and I'm gonna talk about a movie that I really enjoyed watching recently, Underwater. Although Underwater was released in January, it is by no means a J-horror. So let's get to it. The Antagonist. I categorized Underwater as an alien isolation movie. A group of people embark on an expedition with a goal. Something goes wrong, they have to save themselves from the most dire situations, and soon they realize they are not alone nor the top of the food chain anymore. I have a soft spot for these kind of movies because of the feeling of isolation, confinement, and more importantly, claustrophobia they make you feel. In space, no one can hear you scream. That's why an alien isolation movie should be really bad for me not to like it. Especially scenes where they have to crawl through very narrow spaces. Nope, I'm not going through there, I'm just gonna stay here and die. I use the term alien isolation loosely here. In movies like Alien Life or Sunshine, expedition is through space. But there are also movies that happen in deep caves like The Descent. The Descent is actually one of the most horrifying movies that I've ever watched, and I use horrifying instead of scary because I want to clearly distinguish between cheap jump scares and the true feeling of unease and shock. Underwater does a fantastic job in this aspect. Just like space, it's dark, there is no oxygen and nowhere to run. In fact, the characters have to wear a very big and heavy suit to go outside to withstand the amount of pressure in that depth. Similar as if something goes wrong with your suit in space, here they will literally be crushed by the amount of pressure they're under. There aren't that many underwater horror movies that at least I can think of. Let me know in the comments if you know any that is not shark related. The one I do remember is Deep Rising. And I remember it distinctly because of this exact scene that I watched when I was only a teenager. The fear personified. All alien isolation movies come with a strange kind of predator species that were not known to man before. The monster design in this movie is amazing, and it respects the fact that the less you see of them, the scarier they are. The fear of unknown. The darkness underwater gives some incredible opportunities to show glimpses of those monsters. The characters themselves can barely see anything, and sometimes we see through their eyes, which take the great aspects of found footage movies and organically incorporates them in this movie. I could talk more about the monsters of this movie, but I don't want to spoil anything, so I will give a point to the movie Antagonist. The characters. Our heroine is played by Kristen Stewart, and she looks damn amazing in this movie. One good indicator that someone is gay is that I'm attracted to them. And she wearing glasses on a bra with short blonde hair does not help at all. The director actually agrees with me because we get a lot of close-ups of her throughout the movie. As a matter of fact, we literally see a lot more of her than in Charlie's Angels a couple of months ago. Kristen Stewart doesn't really need any character development anyway. Just put her in a movie and I care about her living or dying nonetheless. Enough praising her looks, she does a fantastic job in this movie. Writers should take a note on how to write a strong female character. While she's taking charge and controlling the situation, another character notices that her hands are shaking. She's strong and a leader, but she's also human and terrified. There's really no character development in this movie, which is its weakest point. In alien isolation movies, there is usually an introduction scene where everything is working fine while they're embarking on their expedition, and most character development happens in that scene. Weirdly, this movie does not have that scene. Instead, we get minute character development in between scenes where things calm down, and it only feels out of place. Like you must have known each other for some time, and if there was something you needed to tell each other, you already would have before, and not now that everything is coming crashing down. There is the captain that we should care about because he has a daughter. There is the girlfriend who, for a big chunk of movie, plays the role of "we're all gonna die," and the boyfriend who tries to comfort her. And of course, there is the comic relief who's literally cracking jokes, chewing gum, and turning up the music in the most dire situations. In this movie, instead of Ryan Reynolds in Life and Danny McBride in Alien Covenant, we get TJ Miller. I don't know anything about the controversies behind this actor, so I'm just gonna judge him by his character. I didn't like him. A believable comic relief in a horror movie uses jokes as a defense mechanism to mitigate how terrified they are. But here everything basically seems like a joke to him, even getting buried under the rubble where he's saved with basically no scratches. He also has an obsession with a little bunny doll that he cares about more than anything else, and it kinda goes far more than it needed to go. Overall, unfortunately, I can't give a point to the characters of this movie. The ending. The E in PACE stands for ending. But by ending, I don't mean how the story comes to an end, but actually the entire third act. The movie picks up pretty fast and the tension never actually goes down. I was wondering how they could keep this up for the entire length of the feature, and they actually managed to do it. The movie barely gives you a breathing space, and that's why as the credits were showing, I was just burrowed in my seat in shock, and I needed a minute before I get up and go home. So of course, I will have to give a point to the third act. The plot. As I mentioned, this is an alien isolation movie, and these kind of movies have a particular structure that are barely attempted to be broken. Cause honestly, it just works on its own. We are here to see some characters in deadly situations, fight some unknown creatures, and see who lives and who dies. So in this section, I usually talk about what I call the plot graph of the movie. The plot graph of a typical alien isolation movie looks like this. Everything starts in a state of equilibrium, where everything is fine and working in order. Characters are interacting naturally with one another and at the same time getting introduced to us. Things slowly go wrong, maybe the creature is introduced and kills one of the characters without the others knowing, which gets repeated until the second act, where characters realize something is wrong and they are in critical danger. Finally, the peak is basically the climax of the movie in the third act. So I put the plot section of my review at the end because some may consider my description of the movie's plot graph as a spoiler. So if you consider such graph to be a spoiler, mild spoiler warning, but I will not spoil anything about the story or what happens in the movie. Now this is the plot graph of the movie. The movie starts up high. There is no calm and quiet section that allows us to prepare ourselves for what's about to come. The tension is high right from the start, and it keeps you at the edge of your seat for the entirety of the movie. As I said, I have a soft spot for alien isolation movies, and I'll give a point to the plot of this movie. Remember, my PACE score is not like the score other reviewers give, like 6 out of 10 or something like that. I only target the story of the movie and which part of the plot, antagonist, characters, or the ending it may lack. Use this for what you look for and care about in a movie. If you enjoy alien isolation movies like me and are looking to watch more similar movies, here's some more. The most obvious of them all, alien movies: Prometheus and Alien Covenant. Life. A full cast of great actors. Jake Gyllenhaal is hardly ever in a movie that I wouldn't recommend. Event Horizon. This and the next movie are lesser known, but really stand out in this list. Sunshine. Chris Evans on fire again. The Descent. The first one only. easily could be at the top of this list. And finally, The Cave. So this was Underwater.